Wings and L.A. Law return next Thursday with all new episodes. Now stay tuned for David Letterman's 10th anniversary special.
Believe me, I'm just as sick as you are about preempting L.A. Law.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
His paintings redefined comic book heroes. His vision inspired a generation. The Legend of Kingdom Come is the definitive documentary on Alex Ross, known as the Norman Rockwell of comics.
It almost looked like Renaissance paintings, except for superhero.
He makes them look like Olympian gods.
We go behind the scenes of his definitive graphic novel, Kingdom Come, now on Blu-ray, packed with exclusive interviews and unseen artwork. Order today at legendofkingdomcome.com.
If you're here at Word Balloon, it's because you like comics, creators, conversation, pop culture subjects. Would you consider joining the League of Word Balloon Listeners? Patreon.com/wordballoon. For just $3 a month or more, you'll get exclusive access to the Word Balloon e-magazine, featuring transcriptions of some of my best conversations. When you subscribe, you'll also be part of the Word Balloon Book Club, where Brian Michael Bendis and I will pick a comic every month to review and discuss live with the League on this show. Join the League today, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you always for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Happy to welcome my usual co-host on Scene Missing and a million other times that we podcast. But today we're here to talk about one of his books. Gabe Hardman. Welcome back, Gabe.
Thank you. It feels like I was just here, but I have to talk about myself. So.
No. Excited for a book that dropped today. Here it is, everybody. There's the cover and the back cover of Arcadia. Featuring Batman, Green Arrow, and The Question, a classic triple that used to do a lot of cool things back in the 80s. And I guess a long time coming for you to do this show, huh, Gabe?
Yeah, this comic.
Sure.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of that particular era of, Denny O'Neil and Dennis Collins' The Question, and Mike Grell's Green Arrow, and, Denny also, involved with Batman at the time. And the... a cup, and this is something that I'd kind of wanted to do since I was like 14. This is one of those rare things. A lot of the time when I'm working on comics or working on anything, I like to approach stuff that isn't necessarily my favorite thing in the world. I feel like I can bring a different voice to it or whatever, but this was a particular instance where I really wanted to do this. I wanted to deal with these characters. I felt like there was a lot of potential in the way that they would interact, because even though they're all street level vigilante types, they're all coming from very different points of view. And I'm kind of stressing those differences even more so in my book. But I like, it is a lot, but it is a long time ambition for a book that, it's a throwback to the tone of those 80s books, but the story itself is looking forward. It's a contemporary story. It's not something that in any way you would have needed to read any of that stuff to appreciate. It's a standalone book. It's just taking the kind of inspiration from the tone.
I'm with you, man. No, I really enjoyed that first issue, and I'm a longtime fan of the writers and the characters that you mentioned from those 80s periods. I know that back in the day, a couple times, I think Denny used the 3 in Question annuals.
Well, yeah, there was a Fables crossover, right, between over 3 annuals, and which is great, but it was also a little bit of the inspiration for this, because a couple of years ago I got the Question omnibus. I have all the issues, but I bought the omnibus, and I was reading it, and that crossover, that Fables crossover, is like, it's great, but it kind of, they all feel a little separate, because it's in individual annuals, and I wanted to tell a story that really brought them together more, in the first issue there, we're still on the road there in the first issue, but like something that made them interact with each other a bit more than that crossover did.
Okay, it's called Arcadia. Obviously, that's the location of where the conflict is going to happen, or at least the
Yeah,
investigation.
it's the name of a kind of a project funded by the new billionaire head of Queen Enterprises, which used to be Green Arrow's family's company, which he no longer is associated with, and it's like a. In theory, it sounds good. It's an idea for floating cities that would survive, climate change and sea level rises and be adaptable for the future. And but there are questionable things going on under the surface.
Gotcha. Here, a couple comments right away. Pete Beiser says really enjoyed the first issue. Really felt very timely and timeless.
That's what I was going for. I mean, that's absolutely what I was going for, because I'm talking about our current world, but not in a preachy way, not in a kind of ideologically driven way, exactly. Like it's about exploring the stuff with these characters.
Mason says a pleasant surprise to see this book on the shelf today. The Cowan Sienkiewicz cover is gorgeous. Is that them?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, not the main cover. The main cover is me. I drew and colored that, but there's a variant cover that is a poster from the 80s that was used to promote that series, that Fables crossover thing. It was Chris Conroy, my editor, came up with the idea of using that as one of the variant covers, and I loved that idea because that cover was literally a poster I had on my wall when I was 14 years old, right? So like it felt really appropriate to me to have that be one of the variant covers.
That's terrific, man.
Other variant covers by Kevin Nolan, who is one of the greatest of the greats, and he was the top of my list when I was asked who I wanted variant covers from. So it's awesome that he was able to do this.
Just those two, or are there other variants?
Just for this one, there's just those two. I think there's variants for the other issues, but I don't know the specifics yet.
All right, fair enough. There's a couple more comments. G. Carujo also says, "Hey, John and Gabe, I grabbed it. Grab number 1 feels like a nice modern version of O'Neill Adams' Green Lantern, Green Arrow comics from the 70s. Thankfully, not preachy, but relevant to our times." And says, makes me want to start reading O'Neill and Cowan's question series. Well, you won't be sorry, man.
You absolutely should. Yeah, I mean, that one's the one that I think is the most solid of these, and the most looking back at it now, the most readable of them. I mean, I was a huge fan of the Mike Grell stuff, growing up. I feel like maybe, it doesn't date as well. Some of it doesn't date as well. Although but what was a big inspiration for me in those books, and I went and reread all those too. Well, I mean, my favorite ones are the ones that have a kind of more international espionage element to them, and that's a lot of what I was trying to recapture in this.
Given that it is Black Label, you can play with this, because I don't really know what Vic Sage's current status is in the DCU.
Somebody told me he's alive. I was unaware of that. And it doesn't matter for my book, right? This is a little bit basically out of continuity.
Sure,
it is out of continuity, because fundamentally the idea with Black Label stuff is you start at a point where the characters are recognizable, and then you can go anywhere from there. Yeah. So so all bets are off. Some of these people could die. We don't know. I mean, I know, but I'm not telling you. And I mean, not yet. But they can. So you can go. And kind of develop it from that point, as opposed to like the Green Lantern Earth 1 book that I did, where that's about just a direct reinvention of the character. The character starting from a different place, which I like doing that a lot. But the interesting challenge for this was just, it's you got to kind of start in a place where you know them, like you get the sense of who these characters are. But even at that, I'm pushing them in slightly different directions. They're in different places than they are like in the regular continuity. And like Vic Sage in mine is alive.
And I'm happy about that, because I got nothing against Renee being a question as well, if not the question. But I'm a big fan of Vic, and Todd is in the story as well. So It's cool. But
when I started, I actually didn't have I was open to the idea of Renee Montoya being the question in this, but like when I was working out the story, her background didn't fit the kind of story I needed to tell, and I also didn't feel like I didn't feel like that was a character that I wanted to fuck with in the to the degree that that I could with Vic Sage. Like, it doesn't it doesn't feel like I wanted to reinvent Renee Montoya, right? And I'm a little bit reinventing Vic Sage. I mean, he is still the character, but much like Steve Ditko created this character as a very black and white, ideologically driven character, and then Denny O'Neil reinvented him as something else, right? And so my intent going into this was stay true to who that character is, but reinvent him as a little bit something else for for contemporary times, which I feel like that's the tradition of these characters.
No question. Actually, a question now from Majika Rowe. Did Gabe think about using a more objective version of the Vic Sage instead of O'Neill's more Eastern philosophy version? I don't know if we're getting Eastern philosophy.
We're not doing. I mean, I'm not saying that isn't part of his story. I think it is, right? Like, I think he would. The question that we're seeing here is somebody who's shaped by both those things and has come through to a slightly different place. And that's kind of what I like about it. There, he has that vague, history of those things. And, this is he was recuperated with Richard Dragon, and all those things happened, right? But like, it's not, but his circumstances are different now. He's in a different place now. And, and he's trying to approach the world in a different way, given he's a character who is now looking around at the world and saying, everything is paranoid nonsense, and I'm not going to be that guy anymore, right? And whether he even has the ability to or not is God, it's the only terrible thing about giving interviews about this is constantly saying, and that's the question, right? Because it just sounds idiotic every time I say it. But you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. That's right. But honestly, I like that it opens. First of all three of them obviously converging eventually.
Yeah.
But at the start, Vic is back in Hub City. I guess he's been away, and Hub City is certainly not. It reminded me of Detroit, and kind of.
That is correct. Yeah.
City,
yes. Absolutely. I mean, and he was Vic was a media personality, right? And now it's a world where Hub City has no media, right? Like, there's no radio, there's no television. It's a forgotten place as far as that's concerned. So and so this is a lot of what shapes his reaction to things, right? Something coming home to him, realizing that he doesn't have a place anymore in all of that, right? And deciding that he's going to be the guy who is dedicated to being a community reporter, right? Like, just focusing on his community that has no other focus. Granted, the first thing that happens is something in his community leads him to Azerbaijan, right? Like, he goes off, but it's it's still it flows from what happened in his world. So he feels like he has to follow that lead and pull that thread.
Mason must have missed the very first minute here, but I'll let you very quickly say how the project came about, because he's joining us now.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a good question, because we didn't talk about it yet. It was a thing where, as I said, I like the idea of doing this for a long time, and I've actually pitched it a couple other times, just the basic idea of, these characters. Ultimately, something else would end up supplanting it, and, I would end up doing some other project. But as recently as a couple of years ago, I pitched it at DC, and it was kind of like, those Green Arrow, The Question, they're not so popular, blah, 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 right? And I was always like, no, I really think there's like that people will have a certain affection for this, for the way that I'm presenting them, right? But I'm able to actually do something new with it. And Chris Conroy, like I was just talking to him, the Black Label editor, about the idea of doing something, and I was pitching him a couple different things, and he's the one who was like, oh wait, this Batman question Green Arrow thing, and he knows my work. He could see that this is something that would connect for me, and something that I could bring something to. So it's a lot him and the fact that he was confident in me and the idea, so it's not, I mean, there's no great story about it because I pitched a book and they said yes, but it took a while to get it going.
Well, I'm glad the right editor agreed to this because
and in the right place too, because Black Label is where the book should be.
100%. Yeah, no, and I'm really glad that Black Label was developed and is thriving. Man, it started on a kind of a tough foot with Lee Bermejo and Azzarello with Batman Damned, and hey, look, it's Batman's crib.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, they made me take the penis out of this one, so I don't know. I don't know.
You could take the penis out of the story, but you can't take the story out of the penis. That's words to live by.
Okay.
All right. Jikaro also says, thanks for the answer. He likes that you're going your own way with this. And I want to talk about this. He noticed the paranoia aspect with Vic in his conversation with Todd. Yeah, I like the contrast between Vic and Todd and Bruce and Alfred. And by the way, again, Black Label, so we get Alfred, thank God.
Oh, is Alfred dead too?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe everybody in my book is dead, and that's why I'm doing the book.
Ollie's alive.
But he's been dead before though. He was dead.
That's a Mr. Spock line from Star Trek 6.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, the dynamic between Vic and Todd. Yeah, I mean, because Todd is tracking this guy as who he is, right? Like he's not, and Vic is telling himself he's somebody different, and maybe he isn't exactly,
No, I love it. Here, a couple other money shots. And again, much like Vic coming back to Hub City, I guess Ollie is coming back to
Star City.
Yeah, Star City.
So I mean, in the vague history of this, it's it's not vague history, but it's the history that includes a lot of the earlier books. He was in Seattle, and something went down in Seattle that was not so good, and he ends up breaking up with the Black Canary. He moves back to the town that he grew up in, which now is a sort of hyper gentrified place, the opposite of what Hub City is, and there's nothing for him to do there, right? He's not they don't need a masked vigilante going around shooting arrows at people, right? And he's lost his way a little bit. He's not he's not the guy he was. He's hanging out in bars getting people to buy him drinks and shit, and and he's looking for, he's not looking for a way to find himself again. He doesn't care, or he's telling himself he doesn't care, but we know he's a guy who cares, right? Sure. And so ultimately, this is about his journey back to finding out who he is, but he may very well end up in a place that's not exactly, the Green Arrow that we know.
Well, again, your story of books, as you said earlier, when Grell was writing Green Arrow, and we had Eddie Fires or Fries.
Yeah, Fires. I think, yeah, and that I loved all that stuff. That was my favorite part of the Grell book. But I'm not going to bring that character back, at least not in this one. But I mean, but that kind of thing, was the kind of thing that I always enjoyed.
Well, Vic is the one who comes to Ollie with this problem and gets Ollie involved. Yeah. So, again, I'm trying to be gentle with my spoilers, but
yeah. I mean, but yes, and Vic is not somebody anybody even wants to hear from, though. I
kind of like that. It's, well, that even kind of plays into that echo of Rorschach that the question can get, even though obviously the question is first. Right. But yeah, I kind of like that. It's not like, hey,
we're all
sit down.
pals. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, he's not happy to
but it's
see
also it's also like, I didn't even know you existed anymore, kind of a thing, and like, because he's off there, he's in Hub City. Hub City is functionally cut off from the world, which plays into a little bit of what, how the thing that draws him in happens. It's because it's so it's not nobody cares about it anymore, right? And nobody cares about him, and nobody even thought about him in a while.
Mason also says, oh no, we didn't get this. I didn't do this panel. People, you got to get the book and see. Love the Alfred Bruce scene in the Batcave. Also cool to see the Bat jet hanging in the background. Yeah, man. No, it's a great, nice money shot of the Batcave and everything.
Yeah, well, and like my editor pointed this out, and I just thought it made sense. I don't know, but I just kind of hung the bat wing up and then have a light behind it so that it's like a bat signal.
Yeah, or even an upside down bat hanging.
Yeah, well, definitely like an upside down.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Let's see, Don Lenza. Forgive my ignorance. Is this a planned run of so many issues?
Yeah.
And what was Gabe's longest run with a title? Book.
Well, I mean, it's a 4-issue series, right? And like, I'll answer the second part of it, but like for me, I'm really big on endings, right? I'm big on a story is going someplace, and it's not like you can't do that in a long form book. You can, and I love long form storytelling too, right? But like, it's what I like. What I really love doing is crafting something that is always heading towards something, heading towards an ending, which is not to say this book, I absolutely, if the book was successful enough, if it worked out well enough, I would be happy to do another miniseries, featuring these characters. And the end of this series will be a definitive ending that also could potentially, move into something else. But the longest run on something was, I mean, I've done a couple things where, I guess I did a Star Wars book that lasted for a certain, but I didn't draw all of that. I drew half of it, wrote all of it with my ex-writing partner, and drew like half of it. I drew 12 issues of the Hulk that Jeff Parker wrote that I didn't, but I drew. And
the Red Hulk.
The Red Hulk, right? It was just called Hulk, right? Yeah.
But it was Red Hulk. Yeah.
He was red. Yes,
yeah.
John, he was red.
Guys, dumbass. That's why I'm saying.
I know. And then
Agents of Atlas.
Well, no, I didn't do that many agents. I mean, I don't even know. That was so scattered, like mini series and things and whatever. I don't even know. But Invisible Republic, the Image series, went for 15 issues, which ideally would have been, which was not the entire thing, but it was what could happen. And like, that's probably the longest consistent thing that I've done is Invisible Republic, really.
That's fair. Well, and again, as people might know, you get back into storyboard work for Hollywood.
Yeah, I have 2 careers. I mean, like I'm I have to I balance it out between working on films and doing storyboards for films and doing and doing the comic stuff. I do the comic stuff because I'm passionate about it and because I love I love the form. I love telling stories this way. I love being I love writing and drawing them. I mean, I work on a movie. It's not my movie, right? I mean, I contribute a lot to it, but it's not. I'm not the one choosing that story. And in comics, that's the only thing that I'm interested in. I want to do the whole thing. Although I'm more than happy to write books for other people to draw, but I'm not so much interested in drawing books that other people write. I want to be telling a story that I'm interested in.
Pete wants to know about your colorist because he says the color was very complimentary to your art. Usually you color yourself. Is Romolo someone that you've worked with in the past?
I've not worked with him before. He's done an amazing job. It
looks great.
Along with letterer Simon Boland, great team. Simon I've worked with for years, for a decade. But he's lettered everything I've done for, at least a decade. But this is the first time colorist wise, and I think he's just done an amazing job. and and so fits the tone and the feel of that world that I wanted to evoke. And and we have, which is as important as anything, the colors kind of, the different locations we're at are all kind of defined differently in the colors. But I colored the cover myself. I have been more and more liking coloring books, coloring the books myself. But the reality is I don't have enough time to color something this big and this long, it's 4 32-page issues. So it'll be the size of it's going to be a hardcover next summer. And the size of the Green Lantern Earth One books, and I just couldn't. I mean, I did a Godzilla short story earlier in the year.
Summer.
I colored that. I've really liked coloring my own stuff lately, but I can't color everything. I mean, it takes honestly, I'm faster at it now, but it takes me just as long to color a page as it does to draw it half the time. So it's it's just I mean, it's just I'm not like a super instinctual colorist in that way, even though I like doing it.
I understand. Absolutely. I think again, I think the story really plays well, and the art is really terrific. So no, he's complimenting your style and the atmosphere that you're going for in this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So no, very cool, man. So 4 issues. I was going to ask, because here I'm going to bring back that picture of Batman. Every now and then, they once again mess with the design.
Well, and, they didn't. I did.
No, I wanted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm just saying.
You're currently in Fraction's book.
Yeah.
There's yet another version that is different than what Tom King did,
Chip, neither Matt Fraction or Tom King drew the book, but
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going to point out that artists exist, and that,
you're right. That's absolutely fine. But tell me about your design for Batman.
I mean, I think that there's a pretty self-conscious look back towards the 80s with that, with the oval, I mean, I just wanted him to be a little distinct from, what we always see now, which is actually quite cool. And I like the bat, the bigger bat that, that's just kind of printed on the chest. But something, I don't know, I wanted it to be a little different while still being iconic. And, he also has multiple costumes in this. And even in the first issue, he has 3 different costumes. There's this kind of standard one. He has a kind of stealth costume later in it. And then, at the end, he has, I'm not going to say where they end up, but but he has yet another environmentally themed, or themed to the environment costume.
Arcadia set in Greenland. Did current events inspire?
You'd think. Here's the thing, I pitched and wrote this longer ago, and then had to take a break from it to do a movie, had to do storyboards for a movie for a good period of time. So the troubling thing is the way that real events kind of caught up with this. The Greenland of it all was not really a thing when I first, when I first wrote this, but I'm not shying away from that stuff. I mean, if it has resonance, I'm just going with it. And I did it for a reason in the first place. So if stuff like that, if stuff like the private military stuff and all this, and some forced labor and issues like that are, they're resonant in the world. I'm not doing a book that is just about specifically referencing things, or it's not set exactly in the real world. But I feel like the kind of story I'm telling, the elements in the story are resonant with real world things.
I like it. Mason says, since we usually talk about movies, are there any certain actors you're modeling the characters after? By the way, I like that we see a lot of Vic without the mask, as well as with the mask.
Yeah. Vic is sort of modeled after. Well, here's the thing. I do model them after actors, right? But I kind of am deliberately bad at doing likenesses because I don't want you to look at it and go, "That's that actor," right?
Okay.
I'm doing it in a vague sort of keeping it consistent sort of way, not
Okay.
I want. Yeah, I don't want you to be able to look at it and be distracted by the fact that you know who that actor is.
I wouldn't have thought of this until the question was asked. Again, here we are with the question.
Yeah.
But I thought now that question's there, and I'll say mine, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, and if you want to reveal.
I will tell you you're wrong, John. Go.
All right, because I usually am.
No, because you're not going to guess it, but go.
Dennis Leary.
No, but that's an interesting guess. I think his nose would have to be longer for that. But
okay.
No, it's actually this actor Martin Donovan, who he is. I'm told you wouldn't guess it, but he's a character actor. He's been in a bunch of things. I think he's in some Marvel movie, although I don't watch any of those. But he's an older guy now. It's based on him in like the 90s.
Okay. Cool.
When he was younger.
Yeah.
But I know him mostly from these Hal Hartley movies, he's in Trust, and they're in 90s indie movies that very very unique. Hal Hartley is a director. He's still around, but he made the movie Henry Fool, and
sure.
and there's a sort of trilogy of those movies. Henry Fool, Fay Grimm, and Ned Rifle. But like a big fan of these movies, and there isn't any specific thing that makes it make sense that Martin Donovan is the question. It's not like I wouldn't cast him necessarily as that character, if I were making the movie, but his look was something that I was inspired by for him.
How about Bruce and Ollie?
Because it's like in a way I don't want to say, but like
okay. Because well, here I'm going to bring up the Ollie picture again because I see a lot of there we go. There's Ollie. Especially the top panel there. It definitely has kind of a Neil vibe to it as far as art. But I can't. I can't.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that one. But I'll say the Bruce Wayne one because it's ridiculous. It's young Rock Hudson. Like,
okay.
Sure. Just for the kind of feel of it, it has nothing to do with actual Rock Hudson. It's not like I'm casting Rock Hudson in it, but because I think he would be a little lightweight for the character that I'm doing, right? But even though I like Rock Hudson, I love him in Seconds. I love him in a lot of stuff, right?
Giant,
he was a great actor. He was in Pretty Maids All in a Row.
That
was a scene missing level reference there. Sorry.
We should do that movie sometime. That's a terrible movie.
My God, I went to see it at New Beverly a while ago, and it's like see it with an entire crowd and get the full experience.
Yikes! Yeah, really creepy movie, especially to watch with a crowd. I would say.
Yeah, and if anybody doesn't, this is a movie tied to Star Trek in a weird way because Gene Roddenberry produced it, and this is a weird, horny Gene Roddenberry movie that
very horny, weird, like suspense movie.
It's a real oddball thing. But this is not. I'm gonna look into getting the Pretty Maids All in a Row license, see if we can get some comics going based on that.
The coach needs his story to continue.
Yeah.
And Telly Savalas is the investigator, I believe, in that movie. And I
Telly Savalas? I can't remember.
Sure.
And
also, sorry, we got to follow the tangent for a second. Aren't Walter Koenig and Doohan both in the movie as well?
One
of them is.
Doohan is. I don't think Koenig is.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, it's like it's one of those because now we're talking about this. It's one of those movies where when things opened up in the late 60s, early 70s, and you could show more and you could do more, that didn't mean that people had good taste in what you showed and did, right? And it also could be, especially if a kind of older filmmakers were coming to it, maybe they would embarrass themselves a little bit by showing, telling stories that were not, inappropriate or whatever, right? Or certainly look that way in retrospect. It's a weird document of its time, though. I mean, I'm sure Quentin Tarantino thinks it's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, again, I will cop to owning it as well, just because of the weirdness of it. So, yeah. And I didn't remember Roddy McDowell's also in it. I didn't remember Roddy being in it.
I think that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's right.
But there you go.
But
anyway,
yeah.
Back to Arcadia and our three heroes who will convert.
Yes.
I like the new guy that's in charge of Queen Industries.
Yeah, so he's like, he's basically somebody who has bought up a lot of stuff, and he is, like a little bit omnipresent, and and he's,
He's
Oliver
an
Queen
investor?
well, he's basically the owner of it, and but the functionally the owner of it, and
of Arcadia, or I know Queen Industries, but
yes, the Arcadia is a project being developed by Queen Industries.
Okay, all right.
So like it's and Oliver Queen is he's on the outs from it. We get the impression that things didn't go well the last time he had an interaction with them. He's been banned from the premises of the of the offices. So like
kind of creepy. Again, the opposite of Wayne Industries, obviously, and Queen Industries.
So all these contrasts of things that is I've gotten a question a couple of times of like, these are all street level characters. I said question again, but these are all street level characters. Like, why have them all together? What's the point? They all do the same thing. And it's like, man, they absolutely don't. And they are also like, I'm also using it as an opportunity to make these comparisons between them and make the ways that they're not alike a lot of the point of the book.
If it's a shame, and I don't know what the plans are for some of these crossovers that we're going to continue to get in 26, but much in the same way, you could think of the three street level characters, the Punisher, Daredevil, and Spider-Man, when the three of them get together.
Yeah, two of those characters I really like, but Spider-Man's like one of my favorite characters of all time. I'd still absolutely love to do a Spider-Man.
You don't like Frank?
You couldn't pay me to do a Punisher book.
Hilarious.
You couldn't pay me to read a Punisher book.
Hilarious.
I hate the character. Hate it.
Interesting. Well, listen, I understand. Truly, depending on whose hands are on him and everything, he's an anti-hero or he is an out-and-out villain. But like, I remember when Rucka and Mark Waid did a joint writing.
I'm not saying people haven't done great work on him. Of course they have. Absolutely. I'm saying I don't like the character.
No, but it was interesting because, like, for a long time, Wade's like, I could never get a handle on him. And Greg was, and I'm not saying you don't have a handle on him, but I'm just saying that Greg. Oh, okay. Well, Greg was no, XYZ. And Mark's like, oh, okay.
No, I
and it unlocked it for him.
There's no question in my mind that Greg could find a way into it. And, but like, I'm not saying I couldn't find a way into it. I'm sure I could, actually.
You just don't want
it. I don't want to. I don't like character. I have a real distaste for a kind of character that is about how do I say it? Like they're there so that the audience can get that visceral thrill of them going around and killing people out of some sense of vengeance for a vague thing a thing in their background or whatever. And I don't find any appeal in that at all. Particularly in the realm of gun violence stuff, I find zero appeal to that. There are plenty of things that I do find, like, Lee Marvin in Point Blank, many things where gun violence is involved, you're getting a certain thrill of them going around and he just wants his money back and he's going around and he's killing the people and all that stuff, right? Like, I get that, but I don't see, I think that there's a level of fetishization with the Punisher that doesn't appeal to me in any way. And the fetishizing, is a lot about guns and a lot about stuff that I just, I have personal reasons and I find it very unappealing.
I respect that. I guess growing up as long as I did with all the gun violence that we had in TV in the 70s and 80s, I'm kind of like Tom Hanks in Big when he's in the shitty hotel and a real gun. He's watching the show with gunfire. He turns it off. There's more gunfire outside.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just eating potato chips, and it's just like,
yeah. Well,
I mean, that's my thing. When the guns really start blazing and a Punisher thing, I'm like, all right.
Well, but that's not really the point, the issue for me. But it's the issue is the way that that it's about giving the audience some thrill about the revenge against people who have had nothing to do with the initial thing, and I think that's an issue with his family was killed, he's got an revenge, whatever, right? Like Batman has built-in conflicts that make that more interesting to me, right? He's not just going around going, I'm going to indiscriminately kill people because I, whatever. He has this kind of conflict that's keeping him back. Like the fact that that his parents were killed by gun violence is a deeply conflicting element for the character that makes the character interesting in ways that I've never found the Punisher.
G.K. Rojo is not that you're looking for it, but he's recommending Punisher: The End, the Garth Ennis story. That's fine. And,
I don't doubt that people did great work on that, though. I mean, and there's plenty of stuff that doesn't have that isn't for me, but but that doesn't mean it's bad. I think that there's so many great creators that work.
Right now, Palmiotti is back on the character with Dan Panosian, and it's great. It looks great, and it's
that's cool. They both do great work.
The problem with doing as many shows as I do, I sometimes forget. But I know somebody recently, maybe somebody in the chat saw it or heard it, but someone was saying, and forgive the Frank Castle tangent, but he's like, I don't believe that you're doing Frank right when he just shows up and just arbitrarily starts shooting and things like that.
I wouldn't think that any of those people would do that. It's just that I think the setup does not appeal to me for the character.
No, it's cool. Pete Beiser wants to let us know that he's going to the 5-hour Kill Bill that's going to be in 70mm in a few weeks. Are you going to do that as well?
No, but I don't have time. I'm so behind on everything. But and also I went to I went to all 18 hours of Twin Peaks at the Egyptian like a month ago or whatever.
Yeah. So,
I remember. That's as much. I mean, because that's my that's my thing, And, right now. My deadline was I'm so slammed just from everything. There's a lot of stuff going on otherwise, and I've had to haven't had as much. I've gotten behind on things.
Did you and Ron Richards finish your rewatch podcast of Twin Peaks?
I just guested on it a few times, but I mean, I would he was doing it with another guy, but I mean, I was on it a few times. I was on it when the new season of it happened, and the final episode was the final episode is batshit bewildering, and it gives you no no real conclusion, and and it's something that you have to sit with forever. And I watched it and immediately went and recorded the last podcast with them, which was literally impossible. We were just sitting around going, I don't know what happened. I don't know how to even think about what happened. Did
you hear Dana Gould's deep multi-show dive on Lynch?
Yeah. It was fun. I mean, I knew all that stuff, but it was a fun recap of it. Yeah.
No, I thought he did a good job with it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I listened to it. Absolutely.
Mesa wants to know if you have any other DC books lined up after this series.
I do not have another one lined up. It's not like it couldn't happen. It's certainly a possibility. I do really, really want to get. I have 2 creator-owned books that I've been working on that I really, really want to get out there in one way or another. And I think that's going to be my priority after finishing this. I have one other freelance thing that's a one-shot that hasn't been announced yet. And I'm writing another miniseries that I'm not drawing that is another thing. But that wouldn't so much get in the way of doing another book. But it is, and schedule wise, it depends on I also need to do another movie at some point. So it's my career is so much about juggling stuff, and I would love to do another. For a long time, I thought I wanted to do a Doom Patrol book, and there was a point where that almost happened. But I don't know. I actually went, and lately this is a comic book podcast, right? Now we're talking about comics, not old movies. And I've been doing these kind of super deep dive rereads of, or just reading for the first time of different series. I read X-Men from issue 1 through the 1991, I think, right? Like everything. And this is a coping mechanism, clearly. But I also after that, because the Doom Patrol started in an analogous sort of way, right? Like they started at virtually the same time, X-Men and Doom Patrol, and had, the early ones are compared, so I reread all of the Doom Patrol, like everything Doom Patrol after that, which I'd read a lot of late, but I hadn't read a lot of the more recent ones. And after I read all of it, which, I love the stuff from the 60s. The Bruno Premiani is one of my favorite artists ever. And the Arnold Drake stories. And it actually, I don't know that I'd ever sat down and just read it intently before. I'd read issues of it or whatever. Really enjoyed it. It's super enjoyable. It's the opposite of the early X-Men books, which kind of suck. They're not great. I don't think it's even a controversial opinion, right?
I agree with you.
But the early Doom Patrol stuff is so fun and well crafted, and then I do love the Morrison stuff. I'd never read Rachel Pollack's run on it before in entirety. I'd read pieces of it, and it starts a little shaky and starts too much in the world of the Morrison stuff, but it turns into something really unique and interesting, and I really enjoyed that. And then there were good things about other iterations of it later. And at the end of it, I kind of felt like, I don't really know that I want to do a Doom Patrol book. I think that it's done, I mean, not that it's done. Somebody else could do it, but, I don't know if I have a thing to say that I want to say that bad.
Would it be the classic lineup, or would you dip into the Morrison stuff or anything?
I would, if it were me, well, in this book that I'm not going to do, I mean, it would, I would want it to be something different. I mean, it would certainly be Cliff Steele, Robot Man, and he's the anchor of it, right? But I would want to develop it into something else. I mean, if I wanted to do it and I pursued it or whatever, I would try to do it in a way that felt fresh and not going back and just revisiting things. Definitely.
In that classic social media way, I was on a 2.5 Men fan page, and April Bobley.
Wait, what?
I know. Hold on. Don't worry, it's going to set back into Doom Patrol, I promise you.
Okay.
And listen, lovely woman, striking woman. And that said, that's great. But I had to say it because everyone's like, and I'm like, she is incredible in the Doom Patrol TV series. She's Rita, Elastigirl.
Right.
And I'm like, it literally took me like half an episode to go, oh my God, it's Candy from 2.5 Men.
Right.
And truly, I'm like, hey man, I'm like, you got to give it to her, like totally 180 thing. And she popped on and went, oh, that's very sweet. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Thank you. Would you like to be on my podcast? Yeah, go beat it, jerk off. You're lucky I said hello to you. But no, did you?
You're taking liberties now, John.
I'm hip. That was great. No, but that was really my point being.
Yeah,
that really was a great series, and it really pleased me and surprised me in the best ways of how good that series was. Honestly, I don't think it gets the credit that certainly Peacemaker is currently enjoying. And I would say of that period of the streaming shows, like that was really the best thing that I think DC was making back then.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Did you watch it?
I didn't watch all of it. I mean, okay. I'm difficult about stuff though. I mean, like it was like, it's not that it was fine. People in it were good. It didn't speak to me, but it wasn't like I thought it was bad.
Mason says, yay for creator-owned work. Would you go the Kickstarter route, or are you going to do the image thing for your creator-owned stuff?
Mason, this is the question. I fucking did it again.
It's okay.
It's bothering me now, right? But I'm just realizing how often I say that shit. Right?
I understand, but it's going to come up, man.
And I won't mention it again, okay? The
conundrum, if you will.
Yeah. I don't know exactly, right? I mean, it's about finding the place that makes the most sense in this market, and I'm not 100% sure what that is currently.
Have you gone to like Vault or some of these other?
I've talked to these companies, absolutely, yeah. And and it's just, it's not like, oh, who will publish the thing? It's like, what's the most effective way to get it out there that this specific story will reach the right people? And right now, that's a kind of murky question, and, because creator-owned books aren't necessarily selling that well in this market. And, but the Kickstarter option is a thing. And, but that only plays to, there are certainly versions of that make sense. But I mean, the thing that turns me off about it, even though I'm very much not, it's not like I wouldn't do a Kickstarter, I would. But the thing that turns me off about it is just the idea that you're only selling it to the people who who are already going to be interested in one way or another. And I want to do stuff that somehow has the ability to reach out to more people than that, that people can discover accidentally and all that. That's a very idealistic, utopian idea for considering the, the way things are now. But like, and I'm not against the Kickstarter, and certainly I could do a direct market version of the thing after the Kickstarter or whatever, right? But, but these are all just questions, and I'm, when I approach creator-owned stuff, I'm gonna, if at all possible, I'm gonna do most of the work before I even approach anybody, right? Because the book is gonna be the book, and I'm not gonna do it in a way where, I go to a company and they're like, but what if it has, but what if there's zombies in it, or whatever, right? Like, or really, and nobody will do that, but definitely. I want it. The two things that I want to do. One of them is very much a kind of noir comic set in Hollywood. I may have talked about it on the show before, and it's something I've been working on, but it's not it's certainly a mature readers type book, and it's also not it's not a genre mashup, right? And in the direct market, that's a lot of what people want to hear, right? And it's not a story. That's not what I want to tell, though. And like I want to do a straight book set in 1947 that is, in Hollywood, that deals with all the stuff that I'm interested in, and and like that's what I'm doing. I just have to find a way to to get that out to people that makes the most sense, because like in any of those smaller, they always wanted to be like, but what if there's also Cthulhu, like, and I just don't like, that's not the story I want to tell, right? So so there's that, but there's also a longer. Here's the problem with the other one. It's a horror thing, but it's sort of an epic horror book, right? It's like stories take place in different periods of time over 200 years. There's like one character that goes through it all. It's like a Vertigo book from 1,000,000 years ago, right? And like when you could tell a long form story like that and tell it in not necessarily in order, and revisit things in the past and all that sort of stuff. So like, and it's in the world of the comic The Belfry that I put out like 10 years ago, right? And but the even though it has nothing specifically to do with the characters in that or anything like that, and but that it ties it, and and but it needs to be something that if I go to some company, there's every chance that I do 5 issues of it, and then I'm never able to do the rest of it because it's tied up with them, and then there's whatever, and I want to put myself in a position where I can choose to continue the book if I want to continue the book.
Well, that makes sense for that one. For the Hollywood noir, have another, and forgive me, but I just know when they do stuff, when Titan works with hard case crime, they do good. They do R-rated espionage.
Absolutely. It's but it's not to get into the weeds of it, but it also comes down to rights, and I'm not giving up any media rights. And
I respect
things that that, because there's just not a reason for me to, right? Like I'm not, I'm not like, I don't want to bend over backwards to get it published at any cost. I want to get it published right. And I've had books in the past where, they're they don't play directly, they don't play specifically into the direct market, that have a harder time finding their way in that world because they're just not fit for it. And I don't want to do that. I want to do it in the way that makes the most sense. And I just don't know what that is yet.
I'm with you. Okay. G. Carroll wants to know, off topic, how is your short film going?
Well, it's going fine, except that we had to push back the shoot date until February because of me, because of personal reasons, because of life and family illness stuff. But it's all cast. We have the location. Everything is set. We're going to shoot it in February.
Beautiful. Attaboy. Very cool, man. Well, I mean, I don't know. Is there anything else to say about Arcadia?
Just that it's like I said, it's a 4-issue thing. So it's a graphic novel length story. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and I think that it's the kind of story that if you like a kind of grounded crime, espionage, relatively big scope. In some ways, it turns into like a war comic at times. It's like it has a big scope to it, and I think it's something that people will enjoy.
Is it going to be a bi-monthly schedule? Do we know?
It's like it's 6 weeks or something. It's really just screwed up because of the holidays and stuff, right? Like the first one's coming out this week, and then there's holiday. So just scheduling wise, it's spaced out in more or less like 6 weeks.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I was wondering. I mean, again, DC is kind to me and lets me see advanced stuff. Well, again, Gabe, we can talk about this when every issue comes out and do kind of a recap of the stories and let people know.
Yeah.
Jiku Rojo says, "Take care, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays."
Happy Thanksgiving to Jikuro and everybody else.
Absolutely, man, and I feel the same way. And,
and he brought up that I should get the license to the Outer Limits and do Outer Limits comics, and this was something that I was bullshitting about on Blue Sky, and I would love to do that. I think that there's probably one specific reason that won't happen, but I mean, I think that I would love to do that. I would love to just because there's a Twilight Zone book from IDW right now, right?
Last night I talked to Tom Stoley.
Right, and he's got that. He did an issue of that, right?
And it's great. And I think James Stoke is going to do the next one.
Yeah. Totally.
So,
someone had brought up, that I should maybe Matt Maxwell brought up that I should be doing one of those issues, which sounds fine. That sounds great. But then when I thought about it, I was like, I'd rather just get the Outer Limits and do it myself. But I don't think that can happen. But it sounds like a fun idea.
Maybe that backdoor pilot, was it a backdoor pilot? The Martin Landau supernatural investigator.
Right.
We talked about on the show.
Yeah, I think it's just about who owns it is the problem, and I think probably the same guy controls it. So I don't think that guy is going to be interested in licensing it for a comic.
Hilarious, very funny. All right, everybody. Well, again, it's out now. It came out today. Arcadia. If you haven't seen it for Black Label, DC, you got Batman, The Question, and Green Arrow converging on this problem. And if you're fans of what Mike Grell and Denny O'Neil and company all did back in the 80s, there are echoes of that, but it absolutely is a modern story and a very modern spin on the characters and situation through Gabe Hardman. So, that is The Question. That is, but no, good job, man. Honestly, I love it, and I'm so happy for you. I know you've been talking about this to me, off the air for months, and I'm glad it's hit the atmosphere and.
Glad to be on it. Yeah, I'm glad to be on and actually talk about it. I'm glad to be on here and just talk about myself, frankly, instead of a bunch of old movies.
We're likely going to do a scene missing before Christmas, and
it's going to be about Burl Ives.
Yeah. Now I know you're teasing, but it really would make sense.
It could be about Burl. You're right. It makes. You know what? Finally, the joke may be over. It may have to be about Burl Ives because it's December.
So. Although, you know what's funny, man? I've loaded, we're also talking about eventually doing a Jack Webb movie.
Yes.
One as well.
I was listening to some of those radio shows recently.
Which ones?
The Dragnet shows. Not the, what's his name?
Pat Novak or Jeff Regan?
Not Pat Novak, but the Dragnet shows, yeah.
I like Pat Novak, I like Johnny Madero, and I like Jeff Regan as well. But, I mean, obviously, Friday's the man. But Pat Novak, man, close second. Got to tell you.
Yeah, I've listened to some of those. I should take a look back.
They're fun. The metaphors. Right. The place was as empty as a warm beer after.
Right.
It's like okay. But all right, thanks, Gabe. This is likely it for new shows. Everybody have a nice Thanksgiving, And hopefully Christos Gage joining me on Monday to talk about his current work. He not only in Battle World for Marvel, but he's doing a DC phone video game. And he also wrote a British movie, a British drama. So we'll talk to Christos about that and more on the next Word Balloon Live. Until then, everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.